Hey everyone! In today's video, I'll be sharing some DIY Valentine's Day ideas using a mini heat press. This is a perfect project for using up those scrap pieces of heat transfer vinyl you've been saving. These are all the blanks I'll be adding HTV to, so let's get started. Tech Wrap Craft sent me their mini heat press to try out, so let's get it out of the box first. Oh my goodness, it looks like a little bee. How cute is that? I absolutely love mini heat presses for all kinds of Cricut HTV projects, so I'm excited to use this today. You can see it has a little base and it has 3 temperature settings, which is similar to the Cricut Easy Press Mini. It also has a little handle to grip it, and it looks like a little smiley face, which is cute. Came with a storage bag, which you can add HTV to that. That would be really cute. Inside is a little spray bottle, a user manual, and some patches. The user manual shows what temperature each setting is, which is really nice, and it also comes with a 1-year warranty. They also sent me some heat transfer vinyl, and it's all Valentine's Day colors, so I'm excited to use this in today's video. Here's the HTV name and color. I'll link the vinyl and the mini heat press down in my description box. The first project I'm starting with is a sweatshirt for my toddler to wear on Valentine's Day. I'm in Cricut Design Space and I'm going to upload my SVGs. I'll make sure to put a link down below with all the SVGs I'm using. The majority of them are from Creative Fabrica's website. I really wanted a bow SVG, but I also wanted it to say like love or something like that. And I was actually struggling to find what I had imagined in my head. So what I'm going to do is use 2 different SVGs. These are the 2 images I'm using. For the love SVG, I only want the one that's solid. I'm going to hit ungroup. Then over in the layers panel, I'm just going to delete those 2. And here's my bow. What I'm going to do with the bow is just put it underneath the word love. I want these both to be the same color. I'm only using one vinyl. It's a glitter pink vinyl. So I am just going to pick a random pink color. Okay, that's great. Now I need to make sure I turn the bow that color. I'm adding this to a 2T sweatshirt. For the sizing for a toddler sweatshirt, I like to do 5.5 inches for the width. I'm going to highlight over everything. Then I'll come up here and type in 5.5. That looks good. I might make the bow just a tiny bit smaller. Now I want to make sure both of these are centered. I'm going to highlight over them. I'll go to align. Then I am going to select center horizontally. If you watch the bow, you can see it'll move. I think that looks great. Now what I need to do is attach the whole thing together. You can see it makes it just one layer. Now we can go to the Make button. I'm going to browse all material and type in glitter. I'm using a glitter HTV. I like to choose iron-on though. That setting works a lot better. And I really need to favorite that. I got a new machine. It will automatically mirror my design. I place my HTV shiny side down on the mat. I like to use my brayer tool to really press it into the mat. Also, I just throw the whole roll on there. I find it a lot easier. When the Cricut's done cutting, I take scissors to cut around my design. Then I go in and weed out the vinyl. The glitter iron-on setting worked so well for this, it weeded very smoothly. I'm ready to turn on my mini heat press. I hold it down for 3 seconds, then it will automatically go to the low setting and I'll switch it to the medium setting. I'm ready to preheat my sweatshirt. I always do it this way. I fold my shirt or sweatshirt in half. I run the press over it and then I also press it where that fold is. It will create a line down the center of the shirt. I ended up turning the shirt over to preheat the other side. This is a pretty thick sweatshirt, so I could tell it didn't preheat that side. You can easily see that line. I placed my t-shirt alignment guide on there. Now I know where to center my HTV design. I place a Teflon sheet on top, then run my mini heat press over the vinyl for about 25 seconds. I like to set a timer on my Google that is in my craft room. You don't want to just press it down, you want to have constant motion when you're pressing this. I went to peel the carrier sheet off and it didn't seem like it was totally adhered, so I went over it one more time and I tried to really press into it. I also didn't use a Teflon sheet this time since the carrier sheet is there to protect it. It just helps me be able to see it. You don't want to over press where it gets too hot, so it helps to see it. This is glitter vinyl and a thicker sweatshirt, so it probably just needed a little bit more heat and pressure. I let it cool down a little, then started peeling the carrier sheet away, and it adhered really well. I really love using a mini press for like onesies or toddler shirts, even like young kids shirts, because those seams can get in the way with the big heat presses. Also, how cute is this? I love the design. The glitter is so fun. I cannot wait to see my toddler in it. I think it'll just be so adorable. For my next project, I found this charcuterie board from the Target Bullseye section. It was $5. Before I start, if you add any type of vinyl or heat transfer vinyl to this, it makes it not food safe. I think these look really cute as decoration in my kitchen. I like to buy these at the Target Bullseye section because it's really inexpensive. Adding HTV to wood is really fun, so let's get started. I'm back in Cricut Design Space. I'll go over to my uploads, then I'll select my SVG. Pulls it in really small. The first thing I want to do is figure out my sizing. I measured the round charcuterie board and it was about 8.75 inches. It seemed a little bit smaller, but I'm just going to use that. So I'll go over to my shapes and grab a circle. Then over here on my sizing, I'm just going to type in 8.75. Then I'll go up to my operation type. I'll switch it to a guide. I also want to right click and send this to the back. Now I can bring this over here and size it. So I'll just make it fit inside the circle. I think I'm going to make it an even 7 inches. I like how that looks. You can make it maybe a tiny bit bigger, but I think it's good. For my colors, I am going to do this neon pink, but the Valentine and those hearts are going to be a light pink. What I'm going to do is hit ungroup because I need to attach certain things together. I think I'll make this just a light pink. I think it'll be easier for me to make sure I'm putting it on the right vinyl. And I also want to make the other red hearts light pink. The easiest way to do this is go over to Color Sync. It's weird, there's actually 3 different red colors on here, but I'm just going to move those hearts to the pink. I also want this pink to match with the other pink, so I'll put that under here. That looks a lot better. Now I need to attach everything together. I'll click on the light pink colors, then I'll hit attach, and I'll click on the brighter pink colors, then I'll hit attach. And I'm just hitting shift on my keyboard to select these in the layers panel. I find that to be the easiest. Now I'm ready to hit the make button. I'll select everyday iron-on for my cut setting, and once again, it will automatically mirror my design. I love this new feature on Cricut. The Cricut will cut out my designs. I place the HTV sheets shiny side down. I'm really excited to get some Valentine's decor up in my room. After I took down my Christmas decor, I really missed all the lights and the coziness, so this will brighten up the space. When I have more than one color and I'm layering, I like to piece the vinyl sheets together just to make sure it's all lined up and I know where I want to center everything. I remove one of the vinyl sheets, so I'm just pressing one to start with. Also, with all of these projects, I recommend using a heat mat so you have something to press into. I place my Teflon sheet on top, and for wood, I like to press it for about 40 seconds and I set it to the medium heat. This HTV is a cool peel and you really have to wait for it to totally cool down. If it's even a little bit warm, it just won't stay down. The carrier sheet will start picking it back up. There was a section by the V that started to pick up, and I'm really bad about making sure I'm running over each section evenly, I feel like. So I went back over it, and I did it a little too much, like I was talking about with the first one. It kind of melted. So that's why you have to be careful. If you have to go back over it, just do it for like a couple seconds. When layering, I like to trim the carrier sheet as much as possible. Sometimes I'll get press lines on the other vinyl that's already down. So that's what I was doing there. And for this one, I do the same. I run it over it for 40 seconds. And here I'm really trying to make sure that I do this evenly and go over every part of it. I just remove that carrier sheet. Here's how this turned out, and here's a look at it over in my kitchen. It definitely brightens up my space. My next project, I'm going to be making pennant flags that I'll be putting in my kids' little Valentine's Day buckets. I found these at Hobby Lobby. They didn't have a huge array of colors, but I picked up white and red. They were 99 cents each. You do really need stiff fabric for this. Here's an example of some fabric that I have from Michaels, and it just doesn't work as well. So Hobby Lobby is where I found the stiff fabric. I'm going to be using images from Cricut Design Space for this project. I'll click on images, then I'm going to type in pennant. They have several on here. The one I'm going to use is this one. I'll hit the plus button. For this, I am going to hit ungroup. I don't want these little pieces, so I am just going to delete those. When I was trying to figure out how to do this, I want this to fold over so that I can glue this piece right here over my skewer. This is what I came up with. It honestly worked pretty well. I thought about doing just a rectangle, but when you fold it over, it's going to be sticking out like this, and I want it to be folded exactly going this way, if that makes sense. When I piece it together, you'll understand how I did it. What I decided to do was flip this. I'm going to flip it horizontal and vertical, and then I am going to line it up against this. That way my bamboo or skewer, whatever they're called, is going to go right where this line is, and then I can fold this red piece over it and hot glue it together. I just need to make sure it's lined up really well. I do want to have it lined up at the bottom, so I'll highlight over both of these pieces. I'll go to Align Bottom. That looks great. Now what I need to do is unite this together. I'll go down to Combine, then I'll go up to Unite. And it has the line there. Let me hit undo. It shouldn't have a line when I unite it, so I think I need to bring it just a little bit closer. There we go. Okay, I have both of these selected still. I'll go back to unite. Perfect. That looks so much better. I am going to be making two of these, so I just hit Command D on my keyboard. One is going to be red. The other one is going to be white felt. Now I want to add my text. I'm going to be adding heat transfer vinyl onto these. The text I'm using is September. The first one, I'm going to type in Be Mine. This is going to be a light pink vinyl. And the next one, I'm going to type in XOXO. I also want to add some hearts. I think that would be cute. I'm just going to go back to my images and type in heart. Okay, this is the one I'm going to do. I might hit undo and adjust it a little bit. I don't want it so wide. Okay, that looks good. I am just going to rotate this a little bit and size it way down. Since this is going to be folding over it, I don't want my font to be too big. I might make it just the tiniest bit bigger, but I don't want to bring it like all the way over here. I just need to make that pink also. That looks great for that one. I am going to hit Command D so I can have hearts on the bottom too. I think I'll put one on each side of these. I'm going to make this one purple vinyl. So we'll kind of switch it to that, and I'll do the same for the hearts. That looks really cute. Now I will just attach this. I'm using my Explorer Air 3, so I'm going to keep going with that, and then I'll switch to my Maker for the felt. So I'm going to hide those, and I'll hit Make It. I'll select Everyday Iron On. The Cricut machine will cut out both HTV colors, and you might have noticed it in Cricut Design Space. I forgot to attach the heart to Be Mine, so I will just heat that separately. Now I'm back in Cricut Design Space, and I am going to hide the font, and I will bring back these. I'm going to use the Maker 3 machine, and I'll hit the Make button. I want to use stiffen felt, so I'll go to Browse All Material, hit felt, and I'll grab stiff felt. It's telling me to load my deep point blade. I wanted to use my rotary blade, but it's not letting me edit my tools, which is kind of crazy because I have a Maker 3 machine, so I'd rather use my rotary blade. I don't understand that, but I do have a deep point blade, so I'll put that in the machine. And what's nice is if you have a Cricut Explorer Air 3, you can just use the deep point blade for this. You don't need a whole different machine. So I will go over and show you how I do that. I place the felt on my purple mat, and since it's longer, it's a 12 by 18, I just go in and cut that excess off. I use my brayer tool to make sure it's pressed down really well and it won't shift or pick up on the machine. I grab my deep point blade and put it in the Cricut machine, and the Cricut will cut out my flag. I forgot to hit record on my camera, but here's a view from my phone of the Cricut cutting out the flag. Before hitting unload, I like to check it to make sure it cut all the way through, and it actually didn't. So what I like to do is just hit the start button again, and it will just cut it one more time. This time it cut it through great, so I unloaded the mat. I recommend cleaning your blade in between cutting felt. This had some pieces on it. I use my fingers. It is sharp, so just be careful if you do that. This time, the Cricut cut it through pretty well, maybe because I cleaned off the blade. There was just one little piece that it just didn't totally cut through, so I decided to unload the mat and just cut that with scissors. Now I'm ready to add my HTV. I placed it down, then I took my dowel and tried to see how it would be folded over just to help me figure out my placement. I place my Teflon sheet on top and run the mini heat press over it on the low setting for 30 seconds. I'm getting all of my settings from Cricut's heat guide. I wait for the HTV to cool down all the way, then remove the carrier sheet, and it adhered so well to the felt. Now I'm ready to press the HTV on the red felt, and as you can see, I'm just placing these two pieces down separately. Since the carrier sheets aren't overlapping, I can just heat it all at once. That also adhered really well, so now I'm ready to add my dowels. I'm using a hot glue gun for this. I run the hot glue over where I'm going to be placing my dowel. Somehow I placed it so crooked. I don't even know how, but I was able to pick up the dowel and adjust it a little bit, but I did need to go back in and add some more hot glue. I folded the felt over the dowel, and that worked really well. For this one, I put hot glue on, and then I just lined up the dowel looking at it from the front, but I honestly would recommend it the other way because I needed to fold it just a little bit further so that it was touching the other piece of the felt, if that makes sense. So I would do it the way that I did it the first time, just make sure the dowel's straight. It didn't look complete to me, so I decided to add some ribbon that I picked up from Michael's. I just tie the ribbon around the dowel. I like to do the little trick with the scissors to curl the ribbon. My mom used to always do that when she wrapped presents when I was a kid. I thought this heart ribbon was so cute too. I love how it gives it a little bit more texture. The ribbon seemed like it could easily slide off, so I decided to hot glue it to the dowel, and that worked really well. Here's how these turned out. I definitely think it's my favorite so far. I grabbed my kids' Valentine's Day buckets that I just like to buy at Dollar Tree and keep it every year. But look how fun these look inside the buckets. I like to fill this with some tissue paper, a little heart confetti, and some goodies. For my next project, I'm adding HTV to this heart-shaped jewelry box. I'm going to personalize it with my 7-year-old daughter's name. I found this at the Target Bullseye section for $3. I tried to preheat this, but it has little like lips around the edges, so it was hard to get the mini heat press flat. I totally forgot to film the Cricut Design Space part of this, but it's pretty simple. I used the font digital and I made it 2.25 inches for the width. I line up the HTV on the velvet case, then I press it on low for about 25 seconds. I chose some difficult blanks for this video because this one was not easy. Like I said, I couldn't really heat it flat. You can see it here. It's a hard surface. I've personalized velvet jewelry boxes before, but they're cushy. This one was hard, which made it difficult. I decided to take the Teflon sheet off and give it a try this way. I was finally able to get it to adhere and take the carrier sheet off. The Q had the tiniest little spot that I felt like didn't adhere, so I took my press and pressed it without a Teflon sheet. I didn't do it on video, and I took a little chunk out of it, so that was not the best idea. This is really fun though. I was going to put it in my daughter's Valentine's Day bucket, but she saw it when I was working on the project, and she got really excited and put all of her little rings in there. For my last project, I found this tumbler pouch at Michael's. I've always seen these, but unsure if I would actually use it, but I thought it would be really cute to add HTV to it, and it looks like you can put inside credit cards, lip gloss, keys, things like that. I'm in Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to upload my SVG. For this one, I want to make it pretty simple since it's going on a small blank, so I'm actually only going to keep the XOXOs. What I'll do is hit ungroup, then I am going to go over to the layers panel. I'll click on the first one, then I'll hit shift on my keyboard and select the others that I want to delete. It looks like everything's selected, but it's not. You can see in the layers panel, all three of those are not selected, and now I can just hit the delete button. I am going to line up the colors how I want it. I want the top one to be a light pink. The middle, I want it to be purple, so I'll just leave it just like that. And the bottom one, I want it to be kind of a darker pink. And it really doesn't matter which one I click on, I'll just do that. Now what I'm going to do is highlight over the whole thing. I want to size this. Typically, I go off of width when I'm doing my sizing, but randomly I did the height. I don't know why, but I'm going to do 3 inches for the height, and it's about 2.7 inches for the width. I just took my measuring tape to make sure that will fit well on it, and it does. I don't need to attach any of these together. If all the X's and O's were separate layers over here, then I would have to, but it looks like they're not. I'll hit the make button. It separates it on 3 different mats because they're 3 different colors, and I know to start with the purple vinyl first. For my cut setting, I'll select Everyday Iron-On. The Cricut will cut out all of these separately. If you want to do this all on the same mat, you can use the Snap Mat feature. Sadly, it's not on your computer. It's only on iOS or Android devices, but it really is a great little thing to use. I place a towel inside so that it has something to press into. Then I just press the top one first. I do this for 20 seconds on medium heat. Remove the carrier sheet and follow the same process for the other 2. I love when you learn from my mistakes, so a couple things I would do differently is make the HTV a little bit smaller. The edge was just hard to press into, so it didn't want to stick down too well there. I also would probably only do one color or switch it to the low setting because every time I pressed it, you can kind of see the previous HTV got just a little bit melted since I had to go over it so many times. Also, it's not centered, so I was really struggling. It was a long day by the time I got to this. But let's add it to the tumbler and see how it looks. This turned out way cuter than I even pictured though. It was only $5 at Michael's. I might go back and redo it with it all the same pink color from the bottom. It matches my tumbler and make it a little bit smaller. I think I'm gonna have to go do that. Here's another look at the projects. Also, if you made it through this entire video, put some type of Valentine's Day emoji in the comments. I did this around Christmas and it was really fun reading the comments. Let me know which project you like the most, what projects you're making for Valentine's Day, and thank you always for watching my mistakes in here. I hope that they help you out. If you're new to my channel, I would love it if you subscribed. I have a beginners series starting on my YouTube channel soon, so definitely hit that bell so you don't miss any of those.